Jim Nico here, the Social Network Show, Two Around the World, and I'm going to turn over the show to our guest host, Sam Dever. Samuel.
Hey, today we are here with Stinky Cigar, the famous...
I love that.
Which is a person.
Is a person.
Yes.
Oh, you're not smoking? Okay.
Not here. The man, the myth, the legend. He's become a personal friend and client of ours, and you got to meet this guy. So, Stinky, if you would, welcome to the show.
Can I meet him? I want to shake his hand. I want to shake his hand. I want to meet him now. Thank you.
And I have to tell the story really quick before Stinky talks here. I met him at the Las Vegas Cigar Company, randomly cold calling into different businesses, and there he was smoking a cigar. Hey, my name's Sam. Just looked right at me. The name's Stinky. The rest is history.
The name.
That's all I can
the
say.
rest is history, ladies and gentlemen. Would you repeat that last part? That the name up to the name is Stinky. It's just too good.
The rest is history.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so Stinky, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a cigar enthusiast, first of all, and I started out smoking cigars because the company truck that they gave me in my construction career had that stench of cigars in it, because the previous driver was an avid cigar smoker. And I thought, well, as long as this truck's already got the smell in it, I'll just stop and pick up a cigar. And there it goes. So that was 1996. In 97, we got the internet. And of course, one of the first things I did when I got introduced to the internet was I went on there and I searched for cigars, because I was fascinated with this,
Right.
the subject of hand-rolled tobacco, and wanted to learn more about it. And I started posting on some cigar forums, and of course, they all used nicknames, and mine immediately became Stinky because that's what my wife had started calling me. So come in from the patio and she said, "You done out there, Stinky?" And it just kind of stuck.
So the name came from her originally.
Originally, yes, it did.
And your answer, of course, was no. I've just lit this thing. Of course. It always is, isn't it fascinating? Now, there's a corollary, just briefly, corollary where I don't know if you call them what is fair these days. The mafia, Cosa Nostra, whatever. Don't want to offend anyone. Italian myself, but I was always fascinated by these nicknames. You know, Joey the water bottle Magino. Or, you know, John the hammer, you know, whatever. But those were middle names. You're Stinky. I mean, How can you top that? Right out of the gate. Your wife says, "Have I talked to Stinky yet today?" I mean, this is the best name in the world, isn't it? What do you think, Sam?
That was your handle, right?
Well, let me put it this way. It works for me and what I do.
Absolutely.
When I'm in the cigar industry, anywhere in a cigar store with cigar enthusiasts or at the cigar convention every year, I just use the name Stinky. And years ago when I first got on the internet, people would be posting on these cigar forums, and they were always saying things like, "Hey, when you get to town, my part of town, let me know. We'll get together and have a cigar. Or when you go to Las Vegas, let me know, and we'll... I'd be glad to meet you and have a cigar." But when I would finally meet these people, they'd say, "Oh, you're Stinky on the board? What's your real name?" And I would tell them what my name is. A few minutes later, they would forget my name and they say, "What did you say your name was again?" I said, "Just call me Stinky." And that became a very common scenario that would play out when I would meet these people from around the country. And I finally got to the point where I'd say, "You don't need to know my real name. Just call me Stinky. Everybody knows me as Stinky."
It's a lot easier.
And it just kind of stuck, and I was having fun with it because it was a departure from what I did for a living, which was construction and construction management. And in those circles, you know, they didn't know I was a cigar smoker necessarily.
And if you could tell us a little bit about what you did with that brand name. You have a little ashtray line. If you could tell us some about that.
That was 96, 97 when I started posting as Stinky and started using the nickname in certain environments. And part of the cigar culture is people smoke cigars in groups. It's not like a cigarette smoker at all. where we will get together and try different cigars and different blends. And we had a group, which is very customary, as I found out throughout the country, that people get together once a week or once a month and just kind of try different cigars. And it's a social thing. It's very social. But what I found was that as we were sitting there enjoying our cigars, the table became a mess because the ashtrays were the size of a hockey puck. And cigars make a lot of ash and a lot of debris, and I'm an anal retentive engineering type of person. So I decided that I should bring a bigger ashtray. Well, the ceramic ashtrays for cigars really didn't work because they're shallow like a dinner plate. And I developed this large bowl made out of metal, out of a silver-plated bowl that I had on my patio, and I put a couple of souvenir coins on it, and the guys just loved it. I mean, we had a riot with that every Wednesday night for about a month, and of course they called it the Stinky Ashtray. And when we did finally convince me that I should produce these, we had a logo made by one of my cigar enthusiasts who's a caricature artist, and then through trial and error, we came up with the logo that I still use, and the brand name is now registered as Stinky Cigar.
I would imagine the first time out, that if you filled that bowl with cigar ash and cigars and like stomped out cigars, that was Stinky Cigar Supreme, wasn't it? That bowl full of stinky cigars, your wife would have come in and said, "You're all stinky," right? I mean, this is great stuff. I mean, you can't make this up, right? I don't think
No, it's true. I mean, cigars actually change aromas. They begin to stink and they smell differently after they've sat overnight. And that is a stench that even cigar smokers don't usually enjoy. It just smells like an old stale tobacco smoke, and it's unique to a smoked cigar, or what used to be called a dead soldier. Which
And
is
that's what was in your truck when you started driving that truck.
Yeah, that after smell.
Okay, so something a little a glitter along Tobacco Road, and of course, being a cigar enthusiast, you are asked all the time what cigars. Well, first of all, what's your website?
StinkyCigar.com.
Ooh, that's going to be hard to remember.
I think that was a dumb question on my part. But anyway, so
I liked it.
I love it. So StinkyCigar.com. And so people can order these ashtrays.
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
I have a whole line.
line?
It evolved from one ashtray, which was a stainless steel bowl
Yeah.
with 3 stirrups, and the following year we added a 4th stirrup for packaging reasons, so that it would fit in a square box.
Nice.
And then each year we would add something to the line, and so it's gone since 2004 till even today. We have some new stuff coming out.
Nice. So okay, I love the website.
He's
go
also
ahead,
on
Sam.
Twitter too.
Oh yeah. What?
At Stinky Cigar.
Of course.
Of course.
You just can't.
Facebook.com/Stinky Cigar Brand.
Now, I thought we came here to talk about my use of
That was actually
social
the next.
media.
No, that's just no, not at all. That's just no.
So far, we're just sitting here smoking cigars, and how is that one going?
That's really good. I like the Cohiba Red Dot, and I love the Monte Cristo, but and of course the mildest cigar in the world, the Macanudo. Of course, okay, but in terms of cigars, I just want to do one flip switch on Stinky. I can't say that this was on Twitter, but it will be by tonight, so we can say we're doing social media. Anyway, so here I am. I'm walking into a casino and was forced into playing cards in one of the card rooms, and I smelled this wonderful aroma, wonderful, and Romeo and Julieta. I mean, a cigar. I love the smell of cigars. Not all of them. So Stinky to me is like kind of a compliment, because some people, you love cigars or you hate them. Do you find that?
Yes, that
You love them or you hate them?
I've said that a number of times. Those are my words.
Those are your
agree.
words. I stole your. Are they copyried? You're not going to sue? You're going to sue me?
Now you're talking about among men, right?
No,
I mean,
for God's sake, Jim.
No. I mean, all the people who hate cigars are not they're not all women. There are men who hate cigars.
People.
Well,
irregardless of gender. What I have found is the same thing Jim has said.
Would you say it again? You said it better than me.
I find that people either love it or hate it. There's very little middle ground.
Teach history of psychology, and actually cigar smoking figures largely in the history of psychology around the year 1900 or so, because kind of coming through the Victorian times and everything, that there were, and this was not cigar smoking in moderation. These were like Sigmund Freud smoked at least 20 a day.
That's all?
Paul Ehrlich, a scientist, he did also. And Titchener, who taught at Cornell and sort of had his own kingdom of psychologists there, he set up a competing group to the American Psychology Association, and it met once a year just like the convention did. But there really wasn't any place for women there because you had to smoke cigars to be a psychologist.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah,
women
smoke. A known fact.
Really? And so that's how you became a psychologist? You smoke a cigar,
I
become
figured,
a psychologist?
Oh, yeah, right.
So here's a question. But yet in Vegas you see people. I mean, like, you do see people. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for that. You see people. Oh no, the part is you see women, glamorous, classy women like some of the ones that came in here earlier today, smoking cigars. So that's Stinky. Can you address the women's cigar movement?
Let me,
please.
Yes, absolutely. It's an interesting topic, and it will be in my book. Oh, I'm writing.
Another plug.
Our women have always smoked cigars. When I first started smoking cigars, I was so fascinated with what this is all about, as are you and a lot of people who try cigars and realize that it's not just about the smoke. It's a very fascinating subject as well. So I started reading books, and I got hooked on reading books. I now have over 70 titles on just the subject of cigars and cigar-related topics. As I read all those books, I found that throughout history, people have made that same comment. Some of my books are pretty old. I've got some antiques, some stuff that goes back into the 18th and 19th centuries. So what they always say, every era, they say, women are now getting into cigars more than ever before. And they still say it today. And the fact is, when you boil it all away and you really look at it objectively and the demographics of who smokes cigars during our current era, the previous era just before this, and eras gone by, what you'll find is it's predominantly a male-dominated activity.
Is that going to be touched on in your book?
Yes, and it's part of the, to answer your next question, what's the title of the book? It's Cigar Myths and Misconceptions.
Beautiful, beautiful. When's it coming out, Stinky?
As soon as I'm done, we're going to publish it.
Okay, so not an inch before, and so you're on Twitter. And by the way, my flip, almost arrogant comment about social media, Sam. What I mean by that is that we are finding that it is so ubiquitous, or the big 10-cent word, really, that everyone in our, since we've done this prior, it's 27th show, okay? Everybody wants to be on social media, or they are on social media, or they want to be more on it. So it's just that we're finding that like it's just naturally part of the show. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to touch in with Stinky, I had no idea how big the cigar following was on social media. It's incredible.
Is it?
It's
really?
It's a niche market, but these guys.
I'd like to talk about social media for just a split second.
Just tell us how you've used social media, what you like about it, and how you can use it to promote your brand.
What I like about social media is it's a way to reach people personally. And the nice part about my little tiny niche market is so small that I really can't afford to advertise, even at the level of cigar magazines are so expensive. If I were selling a line of cigars, I mean, that's a mainstream product. Mine is a very, very tiny niche market of a niche market, which is the ashtray part of it. And we're growing that product line. But nonetheless, it prohibits us from doing what would be normal or customary advertising in that market. So the social media ends up being the answer because it's so affordable. I mean, it basically doesn't cost anything to actually do it if you do it yourself. And it's something that becomes very personal. And like Sam said, the niche that I appeal to is on that social media. And they are there and they are responsive. So it's been a great way to gain exposure.